Hello everyone! Welcome to Reddit Reactions, where real humans read and react to Reddit content. Today's Ask Reddit question that I picked is, have you ever used Tinder? And what were your experiences like? I want to learn about other people's experiences using Tinder because personally, Tinder was life-changing for me. I didn't meet anyone that I ended up with, but I met two people, talked to like 100 and didn't interact further than that, but actually ended up meeting two people, right? And one of them I have a friendship with, and the other I dated for a while, and then we ended up breaking up. But I got to meet a bunch of people from that relationship, and one day I went to this rock concert with that person, and I met people who became, over the next 2 or 3 years, some of my closest friends. And now I don't use Tinder at all, but over half of the people in my life, I wouldn't know them unless I had used Tinder, which is interesting. It's definitely a catalyst. It's not boring, that's for sure. So let's see what people have to say. Reply by a morning of sleep. Start chatting with a girl. Girl decided to get a hold of me at 2 a.m. when she got back from the bar. Went over to her place, left after 2 hours, had a good night's sleep. Well, that's not very typical. That's a more typical experience for a girl, but for a guy using Tinder, you shouldn't expect that that's gonna just simply happen to you easily. It is possible, definitely is possible, but you gotta manage your expectations, especially being a male on a dating service. It's very different than being a female on a dating service. The main thing being that it's even more intense than in real life. The guys online, you really need to initiate a lot more than the girls in most cases. Otherwise, you won't really get a chance to even get to know people. And that's kind of unfortunate. You know, it should be more balanced, but that's how it works at the moment in our society. All right, this next reply by BCJS9194. I downloaded Tinder about a year after a terrible, terrible breakup. My friends were trying to get me back in the dating scene. I felt really weird at first, just scrolling through pictures of women and liking them based on little to no information. But I matched a couple of people and didn't really talk to them. I guess it was a bit of an ego boost for a slightly depressed guy. Eventually, I matched this one girl who asked about my profile picture. I told her it was me on Masada in Israel during a trip. She thought that was really cool. We talked a bit. We went on a date. We kept dating. We got engaged this past September. We're getting married in April. So I guess I can say I had a good experience. The first night I downloaded it, I started talking to this guy who had similar music tastes as me. We went on a date the next day to a steakhouse. I'm a vegan. He pushed me off the couch after our first kiss because his roommate surprised him, and he violently vomited immediately after I told him that I loved him. We are married now. That's pretty funny. I like it when people have humor. Humor is always preferable to bitter cynicalness. Whoa, this is an epic post. I can't read all of it. But we're gonna not know the very beginning and the very end, and we're gonna go with it. She comes over to my house, and we literally go at it right away, hardly talking at all. 15 minutes later, we're done and hanging out in my living room. I didn't want to kick her out, so I asked her if she smokes weed, to which she replies, "Not really. Both of my parents are police officers." My face was priceless, I'm sure. But she smoked with me anyway. 5 minutes after that, I'm sure she is lit. She's across the room just rifling through her purse. "Sounds like you have about everything in there," I say. She replies, "Yeah, everything but my car keys." Great. So we walk out to her car, and sure enough, the chick with two cops' parents locked her car with the keys in the ignition. She has an extra set, but they're at home, obviously, and it's 15 to 20 minutes away. She suggested we call the police and have them Slim Jim the door to open it up. Mind you, it's after midnight on a Sunday, let alone that we were just ripping bong in my house. No way, gotta come up with a different plan. It's at this point she decides to tell me that she was actually a virgin and this was her first time. She was so excited that she must have left the keys without thinking about it. Again, my face, priceless. So she tells me she has a friend who lives a few miles away from me that will pick her up and take her to go get her keys. Perfect! This is done. So I think. Her friend arrives and is creeping around my neighborhood, and the chick says she knows that's her car. So she passes my house one way, then turns around and passes it again. I tell her, let's go outside so she can see us. The steps to my house were a little taller than they should have been at the time. Definitely did not meet the local code enforcement standards, but who cares? This chick takes one step out the door and shit whips it. Face first into the concrete, full on face plant. Dumps her purse with all the shit in it and rolls over, wincing in pain. For the last time, my face. I wish I could have seen it myself. Couldn't believe it. I asked her if she was okay, and she plays it off like she was fine. That's a pretty epic story. I like it when people give a lot of info. You know, it's more juicy. I'm always happy to read a paragraph or two, even if it's crazy. It's just more interesting than a couple lines. It's like people are afraid to express themselves or be misjudged or communicate something wrong, and they're also terrified that they just shut the fuck up all the time, while simultaneously complaining and belittling everyone around them to demean them to their level. The world's so weird. This reply to Have You Ever Used Tinder? By DaCoaster. Most people like the sane type of person. I frequently see, probably here for your dog, and the same kind of comment. Another reply by Your Daily Devil. I know this is going to sound shallow, but hear me out. Stay away from the kinds of people on it who think they're going to find their soulmate by swiping right. AKA the I'm not on here for hookups people. If you end up falling for the person, wonderful. Best of luck. But from my personal experience and the experience of everyone else I know who uses Tinder, a person who is honestly trying to find their significant other with a thumb flick and being schwarmy with I'm not one of those shallow people on here for hookups is usually a dangerous type of crazy. That aside, Tinder's fun. Ended up making quite a few friends and had some fun one-night stands. I'd rather get friends than one-night stands. One-night stands are kind of lame. Like, why should you idolize and pursue an event where you don't want to continuously have better and more meaningful sex with the person you care about? That seems like the way to go, right? Like, why would you want to do something that takes time to really grow and become the best it can be? Why would you just one-off it? It seems weird. It's like if you're trying to garden, right? You're trying to grow plants, but you only do it for 2 weeks and you're like, nah, the plants just didn't grow fast enough for me. It's like, the fuck? Next we have, because of the area I live in, all of the profile pics were of some guy holding a dead animal. Not just some dead animal. We're talking about double plus 10-pound iconic 32-point adult hair bucks. It's funny because it was a person complaining, and then the response to that obviously knew and maybe had done that kind of thing before. Everyone's different, right? I personally have family who are like the females like hunt and love hunting and stuff. I don't really hunt, but you know, to each their own, right? This reply by Senpai. I downloaded Tinder to see what it was all about. Turns out that you need a Facebook account, and I don't use any social media, aside from Reddit, but that's a bit different. Then I uninstalled. Disappointing to say the least. Just create a fake Facebook profile using someone else's pictures and surprise them on the date. Problem solved, thank you. Right after a bad breakup, I went down to my friends in Center City, Philadelphia, and decided I was going back to women. Downloaded Tinder, as in super close to the neighborhood, and figured I might make some connection. Turns out, I swiped the wrong way all night. Woke up to lots of awful matches, some of which I knew in real life. Have not touched it That's hilarious. I haven't heard of that before. So in Tinder, you swipe right to like and left to dislike, but they thought it was the opposite. So they disliked everyone they liked, and they liked everyone they either disliked or knew in real life. Oh, that's classic. I think Tinder is really interesting because when you like talk about it and even see how people react to it and see how people behave on the platform, it really shows some of the hypocrisy in our society because as humans, it is natural to want to have a romantic and or sexual relationship with people you love. That's totally natural. And people like to hide that they have those desires, even though hiding it gets in the way of finding somebody who wants what you want. So it's very dumb, right? And Tinder's super funny because every person I ever met or talked to was always like, oh, I'm just here for friends. I'm just here for friends. I don't want a relationship. I'm just here for friends. But for me, that's something that almost every girl who ended up having a relationship with me just said in the very, very beginning before they got to know me. So that's normal. But that's frustrating, right? Why can't people be more straight up about what they want, right? Like why are girls judged or are women judged for saying that they're looking for somebody to hook up with and maybe something more for that from that point? Like why is that a judgmental thing? It's fucked. You know, it's so dumb that like people feel so much pressure, particularly women, that they feel like they have to lie about what their intentions are because they don't want to feel like they're slutty, even though they're not slutty. Like just because you have sex doesn't make you a slut. You know, you're slutty if you sleep around with a lot of different people, particularly if you're having unprotected sex with multiple different people whom you're not in a relationship with. You could have sex all day with one person or even like two people, honestly, and you wouldn't necessarily be, you know, like a slut. Other people would have no idea what your sex life is. You would look completely normal because, again, everyone fucking lies about their sex life or hides it. So, like, the reality is if we knew everything about everyone, we would have to be less judgmental. And if we just were more open and we admitted things and we had people in power admitting things, oh, the world would be a better place. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen until video is the weapon of mass destruction, basically. Because video has this amazing effect where when you're being recorded, whether you're government or a person, you're at your best. It automatically brings a part of somebody out that you could argue is fake. But imagine a world where everything is being live recorded at all times and publicly available. It's not held just by the governments. They're also being live recorded. Imagine if you couldn't actually have true privacy anymore. I mean, that sounds horrifying, but think about it. Think about if you knew every single person's secret, if you knew every person's sexual reality, all these respected figures that you just perceive as having no interest in sex or anything like that. They're proper political adults. They're role models. They don't ever get blowjobs. No way, absolutely not. Like that kind of stuff, right? And I'm using sex as an example here because it's just one example. I really believe that video makes humans accountable, and you can feel attached to your privacy or whatever, but I think that we would be better, humanity would be better to other humans if we were all just constantly being recorded. Because the problem with people is that sometimes they feel like they're not accountable for their actions, and the worst things humans have ever done to other humans is when they don't feel accountable. That is when the worst, horrific part of humanity comes out. So by having everything be recorded, it's a double-edged blade, right? You know, like if you do a crime, people know, but also if a government does a crime, you know as well, right? Like in a world where it actually is all live streamed, you know, where everybody has the data and it's all public. That's one thing that's ironic about nudes and crap, right? because everybody has genitals, every single one of us, and almost every single human has some kind of attraction or sexual interest, right? Yet people are terrified and blackmailed by people's photos of their genitals. Isn't that fucking funny? Like, if you think about it, like, okay, can a photo of my finger ever cause me financial harm? Can a photo of my ear, of my toe, maybe of my big nose, or my eyes, maybe even my teeth. My teeth are real pointy. They can scare people, you know? I'm never going to get into any trouble for that. But a photo of, oh gosh, my penis. Oh, God forbid. That's powerful. But why? And the reason is just because we have so much cultural shame of our sexuality that is unnecessary. And people are afraid of themselves, basically. And they're afraid of other people. And it's sad. It really is sad. But Tinder really makes that kind of stuff, it brings it to the light in some ways, some of that hypocrisy, right? Because people will always be like, oh, hey, I'm just here for friendship. Like, most people who say that just say that, but if they really like you, they'll make out with you and they want to have sex. Like, that's what happens. And they know that. They just don't want to sound like a slut, basically. From a girl's perspective, from a guy's perspective on girls, right? And also what girls have shared with me about their lives, and also observing the hardships women have gone through, like seeing that it's hard, but it also is, it's just a different world. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to make content like this, where you read and react to content online and you explore stuff as you're interested in it, then please reach out to us. We are developing software so you can screen record and narrate while you're making videos. This is something that allows you to make content quite quickly. It allows you to experiment a lot with different keywords and get some experience under your belt if you're a new YouTuber. So if that's something you're interested in, we want to have a Zoom call with you. Please reach out to us by getting our email address, by going to our About page on this YouTube channel, clicking the For Business Inquiries thing, doing the CAPTCHA code, and sending us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Say hello, okay? Thanks for watching. See you next time.